We are in Twickenham. This is Jeff Pollack for KBPI FM, and a couple guys sitting across from me. This is Christmas Eve, and it's really incredible. Let me come down here and dive into the private life a bit.
And, well, what can we say?
I'm sure there's a lot of last-minute Christmas shopping to do.
Cranberry sauce, things like that.
Yeah, and get ready for the Queen's speech tomorrow on TV.
Yeah. Oh, yes, highlight of Christmas.
But these two guys, Tony and Phil, are in a band which I feel is going to be a very big band in America. They're just on the verge of becoming a very popular band. They already have a great following on the East Coast. They're very big in Europe and very big in England. So big in England, I heard that in a 6,000 seat capacity, you got 80,000 requests for tickets on 3 dates coming up.
The actual hall holds just under 3,000, and we're doing 3 nights there, 3 shows there. And it was by postal application only. You had to send in the money as opposed to go to the box office. And those are 80,000 to 90,000 applicants.
And that band is, folks, Genesis.
Hurrah. Sorry, tell them who we are.
Right, but Tony Banks is a keyboard player for Genesis, and Phil, very interestingly enough, is a drummer and the lead singer now. And that was really a remarkable thing, how that happened. A lot of people felt when Peter left the band, well, what's going to happen? You know, because a lot of times people forget that how great the band is behind the singer. And A Trick of the Tail, which came out about a year ago, proved that. And it did very well in the States, very well all over the place. And I think it must have been a great feeling, great reassurance to you that people, yes, you know, people do appreciate, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, we personally had confidence in ourselves to be able, we knew we could produce a good album. It was just a question of whether the public would be prepared to accept something without Peter. And as it turned out, it really didn't seem to make much difference, which was very gratifying for us, because I mean, I've always felt that there's a tendency of the media to try and always find one person in a band who the success of that band totally rests on. And I think in many cases it's not so that. It's a collective effort, and it depends on the 5 people, or 4 people, or 3 people, or how many there are involved, you know, in order to produce the final result that is, you know, that is something special.
It's really interesting, because I guess you had auditions for a new lead singer, then you just figured that...
Yeah. We started writing the album, and, you know, rehearsing for the album as a 4-piece, and we knew we had to find a singer, really. So we just, every now and again, we'd have batches of people down to audition, and they were sifted from tapes that we'd been sent, and we just picked what we thought was the best. And there were some good singers, and there was probably a few people that will become successful in one way or the other, you know. But there's no one really fired our imaginations. I mean, we've been like together for such a long time, and there is whatever you call it, there is something there between us, and it's quite hard for an outsider to
particularly a singer, because a singer has to project the image of the band, and therefore it has to be someone that everyone feels very, very strongly about and feels is just right. And you know, it's slightly easier, I think, with any other position in the band.
And we're finding it a bit easier with the drummer, for instance, because we've changed, because I sing out front, I don't play the drums as much as I did, right? So we need to find somebody. We had Bill Bruford on the last tour.
And then you have an American now, right?
Yeah, Chester Thompson now, yeah. And although it's not easy trying to find the best person, I mean, getting the best person, it's a downside easier than trying to find, say, a lead singer, or even a keyboard player.
It's amazing how much you do sound like Peter, though, and I'm not saying that you sound like Peter, but it's amazing how much the sound of Genesis is intact, even with a different lead singer, and that's kind of amazing.
But that's, I think, down to the writing a lot. I mean, the actual the tunes that Peter sang weren't necessarily Peter's tunes. So with Peter gone, the tunes and the style of Genesis is still the same, because there's still 4 writers as opposed to the 5 writers.
It was interesting that when the people we auditioned had to sing 1 or 2 of Genesis songs during the audition, you know, obviously, and it was remarkable how similar they all sounded to Peter.
Really?
Yeah, because just when you're singing a song with quite a sort of complex melody, like we write, well, just the kind of melody we write and the kind of lyric we write, it doesn't leave one much freedom for sort of individual expression, I think. You know, the character is there in the song. There's not much you can do with it. beyond that. You know?
What song did you try him on? I'm just curious.
Well, Firth the Fifth was one.
I like that one a lot.
There's another one, Cuckoo Cocoon, which was a sort of slow tune from the Lamb. Lily White Lilith from the Lamb. We were just sort of tunes that were easy for us to play.
Yeah, we wanted to get something
listen.
with a certain amount of
easy to learn as well.
Right.
It had to be. We didn't really want to spend a long time with each person. We just because basically within 10 minutes you know, and you don't want to go through an hour or so every time. I mean, some people came down from the north of England, and that is when they come all that way and then they walk in the door, open their mouth, and that's it. You know that maybe not the right person, but you feel obliged to go through
the motions of it.
Yeah.
Well, that must be hard to do.
It is
that.
difficult because you feel like you're playing God, you know, and you know what you'd feel like if you're in that position, and you feel terrible to sort of, each time you sort of feel a person isn't right, you know that you're kind of, you know, they're going to be disappointed and things, and it gets a bit difficult.
Yeah. I really like the new album. It's really good. Wind and Wuthering, it's called. It'll be out in the States
January 1st, probably.
January 1st. Wuthering is the sound the wind makes, I guess, in the trees.
Well, no, there's a book called Wuthering Heights. It's quite
Right.
a famous English novel by Emily Bronte, and
No.
it's just the character. We were thinking more. There's one or two pieces on the album that sort of conjured up this sort of the image of
Heathcliff
and things. But particularly, I think we were thinking about the film version of it with Orson Welles and things. You know, and no, not Orson Welles. I got it wrong.
Rosalie.
Yeah, sorry, I got it. But you know, the sort of character in that kind of era, and sort of the film music that went with those sort of films. There's one little section on side 2, instrumental, which called Unquiet Slumbers for the Sleepers, which is what originally conjured up the title of Wind and Wuthering.
It's a nice mood. You know?
Nice name.
It's more complex than Trick of the Tail, at least
It's more by luck maybe than design. I mean, we don't really consciously go in to rehearse an album or write an album with anything particular in mind. I mean, Trick of the Tail was very much had a lot of singing on it, which for a band that just lost its singer was quite a strange move to make. We could have made a quite a strong instrumentally based album, but it just didn't turn out that way. The material that was around at the time was, in fact, you know, quite lyrical. You know?
Yeah. Well, it's in listening to it, it was an interesting combination of love songs and also some complex things. It kind of reminds me of Selling England by the Pound almost, because the combination of simpler melodies with other things. It's a good combination of things, you know.
Well, I was just saying about another reason for the voice. A lot of the time, I think, when I was singing maybe behind Peter on a lot of songs.
I remember that.
And the combination of voices sounded like one voice. I mean, no taking any of the wind out of Peter's sails, because he was the lead singer without a doubt, you know. But I was singing along on a lot of the songs that people just thought was him. So when you take him away, it just doesn't sound that dissimilar.
Well, what's interesting is when I saw the band, it was definitely a very low-profile type of band behind Peter. Peter was the person out front. The rest of you guys were playing beautifully, but there wasn't any flash. So I think as Tony was saying, Peter was the one up front, and when Peter left, they figured, well, what's the band going to do without him? But they didn't realize that the band was Genesis, and Peter was the lead singer. It just happened to be.
For us, it was just a way of presenting the music. I mean, Peter was a good performer, which not all of us in the band were. So it's best to kind of, you know, you just make use of your assets. You see what I mean? I don't get up there and start doing things because I just look stupid, you know, and so I don't.
It's a real pretty piece on the new album, which has some real nice keyboard playing, and it ends with a little piano.
Yeah,
you know, the
one from the Vine.
That's real nice.
Track, yeah. Yeah, I'm very pleased with that. I mean, for me, it's a sort of, I think probably, well, I feel at the moment it's the best thing I've written, but it's always rather difficult to judge your most recent things, you know. It takes a year for them to fall into place with everything else I've written.
You produce your own albums?
Well, we co-produce them with this, well, the last two with this guy called Dave Henschel. And he takes a pretty strong sort of production role, really, doesn't he? But in fact, it's so easy, really, because we're all aiming for the same thing.
And we come into the studio, into the control room after we've done something, you know, and all we ever say is what we don't like. I mean, it's usually it's quite close to what we want anyway.
Everything else I've written.
You produce your own albums?
Well, we co-produce them with this, well, the last two with this guy called Dave Henschel. And he takes a pretty strong sort of production role, really, doesn't he? But in fact, it's so easy, really, because we're all aiming for the same thing. It just
and we come into the studio, into the control room after we've done something, you know, and all we ever say is what we don't like. I mean, usually it's quite close to what we want anyway, in a way.
So you can be somewhat objective then in producing yourself, because I imagine that'd be difficult.
Well, we've all got very strong
right, I think
ideas and opinions as to, you know, I think an extra person coming down and just, ultimately the producer has to, you know, if you're going to have a producer, has to have the last say, and I think that's, you know.
We couldn't take that, I really couldn't. I mean, like, you know, earlier producers we had liked to take that role a bit, really. They wanted to try and decide what songs we did and things, but we wouldn't stand for it, you know. And in the end, you just get conflict, because, you know, and in the end, I think by the time we got to Foxtrot, that we just insisted on our own opinion going through, and the opinion of the producer falling by the wayside, you know. So that's why we decided from that, after that album, not to use a producer as such.
Well, that's good. The band's been together years, hasn't it?
I'm afraid so. And I've been in a band called Genesis for 9 years now.
9
but it is
years,
very, I mean, to be honest, it's like most people go through a few sort of warm-up bands before they end up in the band they stay with for a long time. And this is the only band I've ever been with. We formed it when I was only 17. And like we were all 17 in those days, the original band, you know, 17, 16, 15. In fact.
Anybody from the original band besides you?
Yeah, Michael. And Peter was in that original band.
You went to school together, did you?
Yeah. We were sort of close friends at school, and we formed the band as a result of that, really, more than anything.
And then you had a few albums from Genesis to...
Yeah, from Genesis Revelation was the first one, which was a very different sort of album. It was made almost just after we'd left school. We'd never played on the road, and we just wanted to put our songs onto vinyl, as it were. And someone gave us the opportunity of doing it, so we took that opportunity. But it wasn't a very serious offering.
And then Trespass.
Well, Trespass was the first of the new series of albums. It's the first one we put everything into that album, really.
Phil, were you on that one?
No, I joined as it was released.
But it was kind of that. Nevertheless, the change in style happened on that album, and it was sort of a whole year's kind of work and dedication was put into that album, just in terms of writing and rehearsing and getting ourselves used to playing together on the road and things.
First album that we really saw in America was the Nursery Crime.
That was the first album of this group, in fact.
Was it?
Steve had just joined, and I'd been with the band about a year, maybe, if that. And it was the first try at writing together, really.
It was the first time that I had heard a little bit of talk about Genesis in the States, anyway. People say.
Peter was beginning to do some things visually at that point, and it was, you know, Peter's visual side of things did help get the band across to other people.
Yeah, I think it's what got us, you know, it gave something for the music papers to write about and things, and therefore we got a bit of publicity out of it, you know. And therefore that's why I got a bit overblown, I think.
How did Foxtrot do over here? Pretty well?
In England, yes, it was the first to make the...
Right, I mean, all our albums have escalated. I mean, they're snowballed, rather. You know, I mean, because we've always... one of the old breed of bands that played the clubs and got the fans, and then played bigger clubs and got more people, rather than just going whamming at the top. You know, we've really established a groundwork.
Yeah, you sure have.
And so consequently, all the albums started to sell more as each one went on. And Foxtrot was the first one. He went straight in the charts here at number 9, I think, and that was the first time that.
Then you had a live album.
Yeah.
And that helped us. I mean, again, that sort of broadened our appeal a bit in some of the European countries. It was reasonably successful in Germany and things, and it kind of, you know, each album has kind of had its country. I mean, Nursery Crime, in fact, was the one to break us in Italy, you know, and in Trespass, I think, broke us in Belgium. Each album sort of breaks us like that. It's just a curious thing, that. I don't know why.
Probably the most important album, though, I don't know if you agree with me, is Selling England by the Pound, because at least in America,
first American album.
I know it. I think you got a hit single in Britain, in fact.
Yes, we did.
I know what I like.
Actually, the live album was released to bridge us over between writing at Foxtrot and Selling England, because we took quite a long time for some reason. We were touring a lot, maybe.
Well, Selling Them by the Pound. Yes, I think Selling It was also a very difficult album to write for us. I think it was went through quite a bad period in during that. I mean, I didn't think it was I don't know. I mean, for me, that's not one of my favourite albums, because I think of all the sort of hardships we had when we were trying to write it and record it, and I hated that album when we finished it, you know. We had so many arguments about what we were going to have on it and things.
That's funny, because you meet so many people who have done a crucial album in their career, and they don't like it, or
I like it,
or
sure.
they don't feel that they're one of their strongest albums, and
Well,
yet,
that's just true.
and yet fans-wise, I bet
Yeah.
you meet a lot of people who are into Genesis.
But
Who
so
think
many
it's
people,
one
I
of your
think-
best albums.
Yes, I think that's true.
They don't necessarily like the band for what the band thinks it's best at. You know, I mean, a lot of people like
But-
the heavier side of us.
To be honest, people like, I mean, I know when I say I like an album, I say I like it really for the best track on it. And I think St. England's sort of best tracks are very good, you know, I mean, for me, I think they're great. But I think it has one of, perhaps, it's the consistency is the weakest of all our albums. I think a couple of songs on it are really not up to scratch, you know, for me. The Battle of Epping Forest is an example, which is a song that it's got so, we loved it when we were writing it, and I think it's got a lot of great bits in it, but it just doesn't hang together. It's too much going on. And you know, a song like that can kind of put one off an album.
I love the end of that though.
Yeah, lots of nice bits in it. You know,
What does
it's
it say?
fun.
No one survived, or
Yeah.
something. They
It's
tossed a
good story,
coin. What,
isn't
they
it?
tossed a coin, and
That's right.
I
Yeah.
think that was real good.
But there's, it was just one of those problem songs. You know, I mean, it had a lot of good ideas, and lyrically it was a great idea. But there was just a lot of a big
Disjointed.
story.
They
to
worked
go
on
over.
it too hard, actually. It's one of those songs that got over-arranged and over-composed. You
So
know,
it ended up
shoved
fragmented
all
then?
in. Yeah, it just ended up a bit too bitty for me.
Mm.
But a lot of people like that because they don't mind sort of schizophrenic thing. They sort of sit there and kind of doing this all the time. And they think, great, you know, I like that. And
But nevertheless, in America, it was a really important album for you.
Mm.
It got, I mean, it took you from a kind of a outside band to having a band with a good following in several areas of the country. I know.
It's quite traditional as well in some parts. I mean, some of the music, there's the Battle of Epping Forest being a typically, you know, East End story, London story, must have appealed to Americans, as did some of the sort of folkier Moonlit Night, Dancing with the Moonlit Night. I mean, there was, it seemed to be a good, even down to the title, a good way of getting the band off in America. You know?
It was really successful. And then The Lamb Lies Down in Broadway, which was a curious album for the States because it seemed, being a two-record set musically very good, but it seemed very, very complex. And
yeah, I think we were all a little, but the band was going through weird times during the making of that album. I mean, Peter sort of left in the middle of it and things, you know, and so it was all a bit strange. And there was a certain amount of conflict as to whether we used that story or not, you know. And in the end, we decided to just kind of to keep the peace. And I mean, I would have preferred a simpler plot, and one which the whole band was involved in rather more, because
Maybe a single
lyrically-
album.
What?
maybe
No, I think a double album's fine. We had so much material, and we were really pleased with it. You know, I don't mind the fact it was a double album. And that was great. But it's just that I don't know. The plot is too complex. I think it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't really. It doesn't wind up at all. You know, the story's very difficult to follow. I think, but it has lots of nice moments on it. It's one of my favourite albums as a whole. You know.
Carpet Crawlers is really nice.
Yeah, we're still doing that.
Are you?
Yeah, that's one of the songs that seems to have got better with age. You know.
Yeah. But it's a nice album. I just thought that it perhaps was kind of it left a lot of people wondering what exactly it was all about.
Well, I mean, in terms of our growth in America, it put us, a bit of a ground to a halt a little bit. I mean, in retrospect, it's turned out to be one of our biggest selling albums, but it's just at the time.
Really?
Yeah, it is on a par with any of the others, really. It's just,
Even considering it's a double, you know. It sold
but coming at the time it did, a double album was a bit of a suicide.
Yeah,
you know.
economically, yeah.
Yes, that was the. I mean, the Americans didn't like it. The record company said that we were fools to release a thing, you know, with a double album, just because it, you know, costs more and everything, and people aren't ready for it yet.
We're shipping half as many copies. This is a double album, you know, all that kind of stuff. Which is great. Yeah,
So then Peter left. What was that mutual, or I mean?
Well, actually, no. He left in the middle of it, writing it, because he'd been offered to do some film work with William Friedkin, right? Some score, some screenplay actually, wasn't it?
Who did The Exorcist, right?
Yeah.
And The French Connection, and that obviously appealed to him. So he left for about a week and then came back, and we were carrying on because we were all quite happy. Then we finished the album. Everything was quite rosy. We did about 7 months touring with that album. We played it about nearly 100 times on the road in different places. And during that time, Peter started talking about leaving. And by the time the end of the tour came, we'd all acclimatised ourselves to the fact that he was leaving. Everything was quite happy. You know, there's no animosity between us at all.
Still good friends, right?
Oh yeah.
Good.
And so by the time the news got out, which was like well into the we're all quite happy. Then we finished the album, everything was quite rosy. And we did about 7 months touring with that album. We played it about nearly 100 times on the road in different places. And during that time, Peter started talking about leaving. And by the time the end of the tour came, we'd all acclimatised ourselves to the fact that he was leaving. Everything was quite happy. You know, there's no animosity between us at all.
Still good friends, right?
Oh yeah.
Good.
And so by the time the news got out, which was like well into the rehearsals for Trick of the Tail, we'd already we'd lived with it for about a year nearly. So it came as no surprise. Yeah.
What's the basic reason why Peter left? Just
too many reasons. There's so many reasons, and a lot of them seem to be rather irrelevant now because he's back in the business. So one reason he did want to get out of the business, you know, he didn't like the kind of the competitive aspects of it and the financial sort of thing about it. But I think more than anything, I think he felt a bit cramped in a group where the writing was collective, and everyone is sort of likes to take part in every aspect of it. And I think Peter was getting to the stage where he didn't like singing other people's lyrics and things. He wanted to do his own lyrics and stuff like that. And I know that was a problem with him, but it was only one of many reasons that he left. But I mean, I think it's a shame really, because I think the group, I think he sang other people's lyrics well and things. I don't think it was a problem. It was a bit silly. That particular reason.
You know, I quite honestly, I don't think many people miss him.
Well, it's
not to say that he wasn't very good, but I think that since Phil has done such a great job of coming out and singing it, and the sound of Genesis is Genesis, I don't really think anybody says, gosh, I wish Peter would sing that.
The overall opinion on the last tour we did in America was that the actual music was given more breathing space, you know, or there was just less of a curtain between the music and the audience. I think because of what Peter did and what he was, or what people thought of him as, you used to watch him a lot of the time without, the music was all part of the same thing, but it was basically, the concentration was on, they didn't miss anything that Peter did because it could have been spectacular. Mm-hmm. Whereas I'm not as spectacular, and consequently the music comes through a lot more. And I mean, everyone said that, the band's playing great, and in fact the band probably didn't play any better on the last tour than we did on earlier tours.
Yes.
It was,
I heard it was a very good tour.
Yeah, it's our best.
It's certainly our best, a most consistent tour. You had sort of very few down nights, which is good.
Well, as I said before, I think you're really on the verge. There's not too many bands with how the business is structured. I've been talking to a couple other guys about this week. It seems that it's real difficult for a band like Genesis to be playing the pubs and then a medium-sized hall.
It's absolutely possible.
So.
Well, that's what we did in America when we first started playing. After that initial New York gig, we had to. By that time, our stage presentation over here was getting elaborate, because we were quite successful over here, but an unknown quantity over there. So we went into America with all our paraphernalia, all the staging and everything. So we couldn't play on a double bill with the band because we couldn't support the band because they didn't want the aggravation of so much equipment. So we ended up playing like 3,000 or 4,000 seater halls, maybe the half full, maybe some nights or some places were full, But we had to start from that point.
Right.
And
difficult way to start. It's easier to start by building from, Well, the easiest way to start in the States, I suppose, is supporting a big act. But we didn't really want to do that, A, and B, they wouldn't do it because of, as he says, because of the paraphernalia we have with us.
Yeah. Well, when I think of bands on the verge of getting a lot of attention in America, I honestly can't think of very many. I think of Genesis, I think of, I just don't think of many bands because of the way, I guess, things are structured now. It's very difficult for a new band to make.
Fewer bands breaking through now, I'd say, in England at the moment.
And since you have 8 or 9 albums behind you, and
people trust us, I think that's one of the reasons why, we do well here, because we've come up to periods. I think we're doing the same thing in America in a slightly different way. But people know that they're going to see a good show, and they know they're going to hear a good album.
For some reason, the press is kinder to you here than most British bands.
What in English?
It seems to be.
It's strange. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I'd say that apart from 1 or 2 people in the press who like us a lot, I think it's Chris Watch and Barbara Sharon and people who are involved in it. I think that it's considered a little sort of unhip to like Genesis. I get this impression from people in the music papers. It's this kind of, it's a strange group, Genesis, because it's a musical and quite complex group. And I think in England, words like concept album are very dirty words now, you know, and the whole thing you should be going down to sort of very basic stuff,
techno rock,
chord stuff. You know, it's a weird thing. I think it's an unnecessary sort of, it's a backlash, if you like, against the kind of music that was, you know, brought in by groups of our kind.
See, we're quite so there's a kind of batch of bands that the press associate together, which is the ELPs and the Yes and the Moody Blues and the Floyds and us, and like we're a lot younger than all those groups. I mean, but they
sound a lot different.
Not just a lot younger. I mean, I think also, you know, if you take a song like Carpet Crawler, it just doesn't fit into any of those categories because it's more a pop song than anything. You know, it's a song, and there's no way that groups like that really do that kind of thing.
I do think they are being more respectful now. I mean, it's weird. I mean, we did come up from a very weak position. You know, people thought we were considered us as like underdogs. When it was like, well, there's going to be Peter's album, there's going to be the Genesis album. We know what's going to, you know, we know it's up because Peter did all the lyrics.
How were the reviews?
Oh, I mean, we came out very well with Trick of the Tail.
Yeah, we did well, and that was great. That actually.
Yeah.
We picked up new support with that album.
You did in America too.
I hope we don't lose it with this one.
No.
We might do, because it's more complex, you see. It kind of has a lot of people who like the straightforwardness of the last album. You know, things like Squonk was sort of like a heavy number all the way through, you know, and Entangle was a lilting number all the way through. These numbers tend to chop and change a little bit more.
And the reviews so far have been as strong.
Yes, good. Yes, I think so.
Barbara's and Chris's have been very good.
Great. Well, you know, a song like Trick of the Tail is quite easy to listen to, and it's really not. After a few listens, it really has a. Even though it's, you know, it sounds simple, it's very melodic. I think the melodic side of Genesis appeals to a lot of people, as well as, or even more than, the rougher side. You know.
I mean, that's really. I think the band is a writing group. You know.
Yeah, we prefer another melodic. You know, that's where my heart is really. It's in the sort of back side of it, I suppose.
The melody doesn't have to be a soft lilting melody either. I mean, there's quite a lot of, most of our, even the heavier songs have got
a very carefully structured melody, you know.
Yeah, I really like it when I listen to a song, 'cause it's almost like a composition. You'll hear all sorts of different changes, and then it'll build, and then it'll drop and be soft again. I guess just like the number at the end of the album that we were talking about. Fine.
One for the Vine. It's not actually the second track on the album, but it's like, yeah, I mean, it goes through a series of changes, you know, and really the music is used very much to kind of explain the lyric, if you like, although the lyrics are written afterwards, you know, to kind of get this sort of mood of contrast, which is what the song's all about. And yes, I mean, that's true. That's an example of an up and down song, which in fact doesn't exist to such an extent on Trick of the Tail, apart maybe from Robbery, Assault and Battery. Most of the songs on that tend to stick in one sort of, you know, idea and stay in it. It was just a new concept for us. We were quite, you know, pleased with doing that. I mean, I really like that.
I know your record company in America is delighted with the album, because I've heard that they've heard it and are very excited about it. So I'm sure we'll hear a lot about that. That'll be great. What's really interesting is Genesis never played Colorado. So if you're listening to this now, these gentlemen sitting across from me are going to be opening up their American tour in Boulder, February 1st. Boulder's beautiful, by the way. I don't know if you've ever
been
in Colorado at all, but it's really great. I guess you'll be playing at the university there.
I don't know what we're playing, actually.
Well, I've got a date sheet somewhere.
It's probably Mackey Auditorium in Boulder. That's what I'd guess. And if you're into Genesis and never seen them, here's your chance to come, because that'll be great. You know.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to it.
Right, very much. I haven't been to America for quite a while now.
Yeah, right.
How long has it been?
Lord.
When we were there?
Well, 9 months, I suppose, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember when we were last there, but it's definitely the middle of last year.
And you have a whole new stage thing, I guess. You have a thing built for the two drummers, for yourself and Chester. And
well, each time we go on the road, we go on the road to present a new album, really. So we just do something different each time. And the last time we were using screens, projections. But we're playing a lot of large auditoriums now, and they really become impractical because the sight lines are such that most people don't see all three screens. And it also means we have to cut off a lot of the seating, which means less people can see us.
I suppose, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember when we were last there, but it's definitely the middle of last year.
And you have a whole new stage thing, I guess. You have a thing built for the two drummers, for yourself and Chester. And
Well, each time we go on the road, we go on the road to present a new album, really. So we just do something different each time. And the last time we were using screens, projections. But we're playing a lot of large auditoriums now, and they really become impractical because the sight lines are such that most people don't see all three screens. And it also means we have to cut off a lot of the seating, which means less people can see us. So we're having an open stage, and we're going to be using more lights than actual gadgets, you know. Just trying to develop the lighting side of the group, and maybe, you know, develop the lasers more as well. But you didn't see us on the last tour. We had two drummers on that tour as well. But it's just, you know, it's just another visual asset, really. It's good.
Right. You would drum also with Brand X, I guess it's kind of a hobby. Is it?
Kind of a hobby, yeah. I mean, it's not really my hobby. It's a band that I play in when I'm around. They're going to be playing without me because I'm really busy this year. They got another drummer, but I'm sort of the founder member of the group, one of the founder members, yeah. But it's funny, we're talking about producers. I mean, we just finished an album at Trident Studios, and we have an engineer there that was enlisted as a producer, you know. But as soon as he opened his mouth to try and produce, everybody clamped down straight away, you know, because everyone had so strong opinions. I just find it impossible to take advice.
Yeah, I think it must be very difficult for bands to work like that. I don't know.
It's like having a band, for instance, Jethro Tull, you know, who have one man who writes the songs and is basically responsible for who plays what where. And we could never exist like that. And the band wouldn't exist. You know?
That's a coincidence because I talked to Ian a couple of days ago, and they, you know, their single "Bring Out Solstice Bells." I don't know if you've heard that.
No.
I haven't heard it. No,
But for the first time, Ian agreed to. I guess it's the first time he agreed to go out and have somebody else give a go at producing it. Mike Batt of Womble's fame did it, and they said they had a great time, and it just turned out awful. So they used the original. But
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those things are okay for one-off things. You know? English comedian.
What's his name?
Charlie Drake.
Charlie Drake.
And he's small, you know, pug face. He's been around for a few years, but he produced a single for him which he wrote, and I was on it, and bass player with Brand X was on it, and Robert Fripp was on it, and the guy Keith Tippett. Really strange
Keith
bunch
Tippett's
of musicians.
amazing. Yeah.
It was okay for one-off thing, but I mean,
Love Keith Tippett. Amazing keyboard player. Yeah.
very strange. Yeah, I mean, doesn't do anything.
Doesn't play?
Well, he plays, but he doesn't get any money for it.
Rather talented wife too.
Yeah. In fact, I saw Keith Tippett. Brand X played at Ronnie Scott's just last September, and he came down, and it's sad, you know. I mean, he looks like he's got no money. He actually looks like it, you know what I mean? And he's such a good pianist.
There seems like a lot of amazing musicians out of work. Mike Ratledge, I don't know what he's doing.
No. I don't think being an amazing musician has ever had that much to do with kind of commercial success or anything. It's just it's all luck, really.
No, but you always kind of figure, I guess, that those guys will get by somehow, you know?
Well, they don't.
I guess some of them don't, do they?
Not really, yeah. But
What's really delightful to me is a band as good as Genesis is as popular as they are, because doing the kind of music you are, you got to feel that you're pretty lucky.
I think we are lucky because we can do music that we really like, you know, and don't have to make any compromises at all, you know, to the audience, which is amazing, really, because I think a lot of bands have to at least make a compromise, you know.
Well, you don't make any compromises at all, don't you think?
Well, we don't make any compromises. I mean, you know, we just write really for our own pleasure.
Well, what would happen? Let's say if you did a new album and someone whose opinion you really respected said, "This just isn't going to
There's
do
no
anything."
one's opinion I respect enough for that to matter. But everybody's opinion, I think, affects us a little as a sort of overall thing. If there was an overall critical reaction to an album, I don't know what we'd do. Either it might affect us to write something sort of different next time, or it might just make us be bloody-minded and go on doing the same thing.
Do you ever think when you're writing something, well, this will be, people will like this?
Yes, and we're always wrong.
Are you?
Yeah, I mean, what we felt off Nursery Crime, we had one song we wrote called, at the time, Farm Hassan Masters, which we felt would be an amazing audience number live and everything, and they all love it and things. And really, it was a remarkably badly received song. Everyone with musical box instead, which I mean, for me, isn't half the song. But you know, it's interesting how you just can't predict. We've done the same off other albums, you know.
Singles are a classic. We always try and, I mean, Landmines Down's probably got at least three or four hit singles to our mind. You know, they songs that we've lived with. You know, like Carpet Crawlers, I think is an incredibly strong song, right? But you hear it once, and it might not hit anybody. Really, I mean, we lived with it, and so you think, wow, when people hear this 3 or 4 times, they'll love it.
But amazing that I Know What I Like was a hit.
Yeah, well, that's got that chorus that I suppose, you know, it's very simple, and I think that's...
But even given the way English radio is, I'd say, hearing I Know What I Like on the radio over here, I'd be very curious.
We've got some songs that we didn't put on the album, 3 songs in fact, which are going to be released over here as a sort of maxi single. And probably, hopefully in America, at least one of them or 2 of them will come out.
It would be real interesting to maybe just send them to radio stations as sort of an added bonus.
That's what Atlantic will.
They're heading. They like the single on the album. You know, they like. They're probably going to edit Your Own Special Way.
That's really nice.
Yeah, they got quite excited.
That's the ballad on side 1, isn't it? Yeah, it's very pretty.
So it's love songs. Yeah. One of our rare love songs, really. Although a lot of our tunes are romantic.
That's good. I mean, at least, you know, being a serious music band, people think, well, I don't know if Genesis will do love songs.
Yeah, well,
I think
it's the first time we've
good.
done love songs really since Genesis Revelation, and there are 2 of them on this album. One of them slightly obscurer than the other, but they are both love songs.
But I mean, you say that heavy music band. I mean, we kind of I feel we set our own precedent. I mean, we can do exactly what we want. You know,
it's true.
And we're just as happy or as proud, if you like, you know, of Something Like a Special Way, of something. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking for myself. I mean, Something Like Supper's Ready or Trick of the Tail or...
Yeah, I think they all have their place. I mean, obviously one has one's own preferences. I mean, I think it's really nice to do a sort of simple song, you know.
I think it makes a band more interesting if you did all...
Well, we try to get as much variety as possible in the group. It's always been a sort of aim, you know, to explore every avenue that we like, and not sort of restrict ourselves from any avenue, you know. I mean, obviously certain areas we don't like, so we don't do, you know, but there are other bits which, you know, we just go into every corner of one's sort of what we can take.
Do you find that being together so long